Alright, I'm trying something different for a video. I originally was going to do a video about my birth year, 1995, but somewhere in the middle, while I was working on a script, I just quickly threw in the towel. So I had to think of a better way to do a different video. Then I had something in my mind. What if I do my favorite media, but every year since I was born? I know it's one of the more risky videos since people out there have done videos like this, and I know I'm the one that can't shut up all about media, hence my banner, but I needed something. So in this video, I'll be picking one media that I pick year by year, and I'm starting the year 1995, the year I was born. So you won't be seeing prior years like Beauty and the Beast or the original Super Mario Brothers or any of those. I know it hurts just as much. So with that out of the way, let's get started with my favorite media year by year. Starting off with the year I was born, 1995. And my favorite media from that year is completely obvious. It's Toy Story. I've talked about this movie a couple times in my Pixar films ranking and the 30th anniversary late last year. But yeah, I think Toy Story was perfect to release it that year, and it was the start of the Pixar animation studios. That's my pick for 1995. Moving on to 1996, and it was a bit tricky to find something for my favorite media that came out in 1996, but I think of one that could be my favorite. It's gotta be Nintendo 64. Now, hear me out, I was close putting Super Mario 64, but I didn't grow up with the game. But I am counting towards Nintendo 64 console because of the generation I was almost at. Some honorable mentions include Super Mario 64, which was close, but didn't play in my childhood, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Space Jam, Hey Arnold, and especially Blue's Clues. But again, Nintendo 64 is my choice, and I will make a video of the system later this year. Next up is 1997, and again, this was a tricky one, but if I had to pick one, I gotta go with Titanic. This was very tricky to pick for that year, and keep in mind, I was 2.5 when this movie premiered, and I was way too young to watch this historic film. Now that I'm older, it is a really good film. I know I could have included TV shows like South Park or King of the Hill or something, but I need to watch some episodes, and they're geared towards adults, not for kids. Teletubbies premiered, and I did watch it when I was a toddler, but I don't think it deserves my favorite, and the show wasn't my thing when I got older. So, Titanic is my favorite media of 1997. Next is 1998, and you already know what my favorite media is of that year. It's Pokemon. Now, which Pokemon to pick? The anime or the games? Well, my pick is Pokemon Red and Blue. I've talked about the first games in my ranking Pokemon games, and the first game is still timeless and a great way to release it in the US 2 years after it premiered in Japan. So that's my pick for my favorite media of 1998. Honorable mentions include 2 DreamWorks animated films, Ants and the Prince of Egypt, and Disney's Mulan. And no, the Seinfeld finale will not be included, but it is sad to see that the show go, because I love that show. And also, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time gets an honorable mention, since it's one of the most beloved video games of all time, and it's a great game. But I gotta go with Pokemon Red and Blue. It was my nostalgic video games during that time. Next is 1999, the final year of the 20th century, and I already know what my choice is. You may think Toy Story 2 is my favorite of that year, and it's my favorite Toy Story movie along with the first one, which it is, and it was close to reaching it, but it's not. My favorite media of 1999 is none other than SpongeBob SquarePants. I've talked about this show during its 25th anniversary a couple years ago, and I still love it. I didn't start watching it until 3 years later, but this was part of my childhood, along with Rugrats. Don't get me wrong, Rugrats is part of my childhood too, but SpongeBob took it when it kept going. And yes, Family Guy didn't make the cut, which is making Peter Griffin mad now, but my choice goes to SpongeBob. Now we get to 2000, the first year of the 21st century, and this one is not a tricky one. My choice goes to Malcolm in the Middle. Yes, not Clifford or Dora the Explorer or The Emperor's New Groove, this show. I will talk about the show later down the line since I know it's 26 years, but man, this is like one of my favorite TV shows. I know it's a dysfunctional family type show, but man, it's really funny. It's one of the reasons why I love comedy shows, and I can't wait for the reboot coming to Hulu next month. Also, PS2 gets an honorable mention. Next is 2001, and we know what happened during that year. 9/11 happened, but it is the big highlight of that year. But as for favorite media, this might shock or not, but mine is Spirited Away. I know, weird pick. It debuted in Japan in 2001, and man, I love this movie a lot, so I am counting towards it. Another film I did a whole video on. Other honorable mentions include Shrek, the first Lord of the Rings movie, and 2 Nintendo systems, the Game Boy Advance and the GameCube. Next up is 2002, and man, this is a rough one to pick. I looked at the movie selection and there are some decent ones. TV shows, I mean, Kim Possible is a great show, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's my favorite media of 2002, but I am counting towards Kingdom Hearts. There's other great games like GTA Vice City, Metroid Prime, and Super Mario Sunshine, but Kingdom Hearts was a great game. While I didn't play that game as a kid, I actually liked the idea. Again, go watch my video where I did my review of the game during the 20th anniversary. So, that's my choice for the year. Next is 2003. This one is not a hard one to pick than 2002, but I am going with The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. It's one of my favorite Zelda games and one of my favorite video games. Another one where I did a whole video on. Some are close, like Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, my favorite in the trilogy, Finding Nemo, and Holes, which it would be a cop-out to put in my favorite underrated film over a game like Zelda, so I'll let that slide there. And there are some shows from that year I gotta watch. Next is 2004, and I already know what my favorite media of that year is, Shrek 2. If the first Shrek movie didn't make it to 2001, this one made it in. I've talked about this movie a couple times in other videos, and I go back and forth which is my favorite Shrek movie, this or the first one, but I'll save it in the future. And I couldn't leave The Incredibles behind since I had to put in honorable mentions along with a few other ones. Next is 2005, the final full year during my childhood life, and you already know what my favorite media is. Yes, it's Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I've gone on and on about it, and it's still my favorite TV show so far. I've covered a whole video about it during the 20th anniversary last year, but definitely worth as my favorite media of 2005. As in second place goes to another one of my favorite shows, The Office. Next comes 2006, the year it was the start of the downfall during my childhood. This one is not a hard one compared to like 2002, but I'm going with the Nintendo Wii. I know I could have gone with PS3, but the Wii was a new Nintendo system, and I played the Wii more than the PS3, and since it will be turning 20 in a few more months, I will do a video on the Wii. But yeah, my pick for my favorite media of 2006. Next is 2007, a year when my parents bought a new house. Yeah, similar to 2006, I picked Wii related, and that goes to Super Mario Galaxy, my second favorite Wii game. A game I've talked about in my Mario games ranking video. Honorable mention goes to Ratatouille, Superbad, Phineas and Ferb, and many others. Also, iPhone is a mention since they were new devices that came out that year, and I use them as of today. Next is 2008, a year when I was becoming a teenager. This time, a Wii game is not my favorite media of the year. This time, The Dark Knight is my favorite media of 2008. And as you know, I love Batman, and The Dark Knight is one of the best Batman movies. And a close second place is Iron Man, a film that started the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but mine goes to The Dark Knight. Next is 2009, and this was a hard one to pick for that year, but I'm going towards Pixar's Up. It was hard to find some picks, some comedy TV shows that I need to watch like Parks and Recreation and Modern Family. There are some video games that could have been at the top, but Up is more of my choice for my favorite. And yeah, I didn't watch the movie until 3 years later. Again, I did talk about Up in my Pixar films ranking video. I'll give New Super Mario Bros. Wii and Pokemon Platinum as an honorable mention, even more so than Angry Birds. Next comes 2010, the start of a new decade. Now, Toy Story 3 gets my choice for my favorite media, right? Well, no, it doesn't get it, sadly. No, my favorite media of 2010 is an obvious one, and that's Super Mario Galaxy 2. And I still stand by that it's my favorite Mario game and my favorite video game of all time. I posted a month ago after the ranking video that I just beat the Grandmaster Galaxy Perfect Run. But yeah, I love the game and it deserves to be on the list. Next is 2011, and this was another hard one to pick for the year. I haven't watched Game of Thrones, so that won't make it to the list. Well, I guess I'll go with one favorite media, being the Nintendo 3DS. I covered the 3DS before as one of my early videos on the channel. It was announced back at E3 2010. I was ready for a new handheld system following after the Nintendo DS. Speaking of DS, Pokemon Black and White deserves to get an honorable mention. But yeah, a fine year for media. Next is 2012, and this was my choice. I'm going with Wreck-It Ralph, a Disney film that came out that year. Why? Because it has video games, and I love video games, and I've talked about the movie in my ranking Disney films. It's actually one of my favorite Disney films. Besides Wreck-It Ralph, Disney released Gravity Falls in June, and I love that show. Definitely deserves to give an honorable mention. Others include The Avengers, which was close to being number one, but I gave it to Wreck-It Ralph instead. The Hunger Games, and The Legend of Korra. Next is 2013, and yet another favorite media from Disney, and that's Frozen. I know people are going to flip out on this one. Come on, I don't find Frozen overrated. Now, with the sequel, yeah, I don't like the sequel. Frozen is another at the top of my favorite Disney films, and trying to bring back the fairy tale aspect similar to what Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast did. Same as Wreck-It Ralph, I've talked about Frozen in the ranking video. And then coming in the second place is PS4, because it's my second favorite PlayStation system after PS2. And then some that could have made it in, like Rick and Morty, but I need to watch more of the show, Hunger Games Catching Fire, and some Nintendo games. Next is 2014, the year when I graduated and got into college. So I have to pick what is my favorite media of 2014. Well, I'm gonna give it to Mario Kart 8. This was almost a hard one, but since Mario Kart never got a chance, I thought this will deserve it. Plus, Mario Kart 8 is the best Mario Kart game by far. I know they did a deluxe version on the Switch, but we are counting the whole thing. Mario Kart 8 is awesome. Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS deserves an honorable mention, followed by Captain America Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy. Next up is 2015, and yeah, this is another obvious one. My favorite media for 2015 is Pixar's Inside Out. Another one I've talked about to death, and I covered it during the 10th anniversary last year. I love Inside Out. It's hands down my favorite Pixar movie, and probably my favorite movie of last generation. Enough said about that. Next is 2016, which I don't hate that year as much as anyone else, but for my favorite media for 2016 has gotta be Stranger Things. Don't get me wrong, I was close to picking Captain America Civil War, but Stranger Things was my pick for an experience and a strong lineup to Netflix's exclusive show to streaming. Season 1 is a great one, and probably the best season in the series. I'll talk about the show later this summer. Next is 2017, and this one was a struggle, but I gotta go with Disaster Artist as my favorite media of 2017. Coco is close, Wonder Woman is great, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was great, but Disaster Artist is one of my favorites, and I haven't talked about this movie before on the channel since not a lot of people know what that is. So maybe one day I'll get to the film when I do a top 100 favorites list. A close second place goes to the Nintendo Switch, a great hybrid system, and had a great lineup during that year like Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. Next comes 2018, a time when I got my degree in college, but for my favorite media is another obvious one. My favorite media of 2018 is Avengers Infinity War. Besides Inside Out, Avengers Infinity War is one of my favorite movies and my favorite out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As for second place has gotta be Into the Spider-Verse. Great film overall. But yeah, very little to say, but an easy pick for Infinity War. Next is 2019, which I had mixed feelings during that year, but it is a lot better than the later years. but I'm going to pick for my favorite media. It's not Avengers Endgame, which you all know you might be shocked, but I'm going to go with a streaming service. It's Disney Plus. Yeah, a streaming service as my favorite media for the year. And come on, it counts. It premiered Endgame the same day, and The Mandalorian also premiered. It's a great show, despite I'm not a diehard fan of Star Wars. But yeah, Disney Plus is my favorite for 2019, and glad to be released at the end of the year. Next is 2020. Yeah, this year completely ruined it because of this virus. Alright, I gotta find what my favorite media is for 2020. Well, thankfully I got one, and that's Ghost of Tsushima on PS4. Finally, a PS4 game made it to the spot. I did a review of the game on the channel when its sequel was coming out. Also, an honorable mentions to PS5. But yeah, even though the year was bad, at least there was some lightness of good. Next is 2021, which much better year than 2020, but not by much. I'll try not to say my YouTube channel since that doesn't necessarily count, but my favorite media of 2021 is Spider-Man No Way Home. Easily the best live-action Spider-Man movie. There were some difficult ones to choose, and I didn't want to pick DLC characters from Smash Bros. Ultimate or the reveal cast from the Super Mario Bros. Movie, but I'm sticking with Spider-Man as my favorite media of 2021. Next is 2022, and I already know what my favorite media is. It's Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, a film I did a whole video on back in early 2024, and I still think it's awesome. Who knew that it's like mixed with the first Puss in Boots film, but elevated more of the Spider-Verse animation and make it more entertaining. Honorable mention goes to Pokemon Legends Arceus, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie, and I'll say Wednesday Netflix show. I still need to watch Andor show very soon. Next comes 2023, which that year was but for my favorite media is another great choice. I'm going with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Finally, the animated Spider-Man movie makes it to number 1. Another film I talked about before, and yeah, it's amazing. What can I say? As in second place, I'll go with One Piece live action series from Netflix, followed by Spider-Man 2 game and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Next is 2024, and we finally get a PS5 game that's my favorite media of the year, and that's Astro Bot. Another one I've talked about to death. I love this game, it's my favorite game this generation. I think that's enough to say about it. As for second place, well, that goes to Inside Out 2. Would have been cool to reach number 1, but I'll give Astro Bot a chance, since I love it more than this. And we come to 2025. I know 2026 started, but it's too early to say about this year, so let's have 2025 as the final lineup. For my favorite media of 2025 is probably Nintendo Switch 2. Yeah, after the first Switch didn't reach number 1, I'm giving it to the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is a really good system, and I can't wait for new releases of games and whatever surprises that could drop since it will be turning 1-year-old soon. For honorable mention, yeah, I'll just say K-pop Demon Hunters and maybe Zootopia 2. But at the time I'm recording this, I haven't watched Zootopia 2 just yet, and it came out recently on Disney Plus. But yeah, that is all the years of my favorite media. I know it may not be right on some, but I can't help with them. We'll see if there'll be more or an update in the future, but these are the ones. That is all for this video, and by the way, today is my birthday. Wish me a happy birthday. I'll see you all for videos later this month.